Assetto Corsa Competizione is already out for a very long time, but this game is absolutely here to stay. It has a lot of active communities built on top of the game, and it is absolutely great with like low fuel motorsport, pit skill, or a lot of other communities where you can race in this game. Obviously, if you're just starting out, you might need or want to watch this video because I will explain what I would do if I have to restart this game and gain some sim racing experience. I played this game for almost 1,000 hours, and if I had to start all over again, this is how I would do it. Let's go. First, we need to have a look at the settings that I am using. These settings are my preferences. I also make them like more beginner friendly. Let's have a look. So you have this screen, you go to the options, and we have video, audio controls, general assists, heads up display. These are my video settings. Pause them to take them over. Again, I have a dedicated video for this where to explain this in VR settings, but I never switch from these settings. I always keep them the same, also when I'm on the flat screen. Have a look. Audio settings. I like the opponent cars a little bit less hard. All the other settings you can just take over. Obviously the master setting, I change them accordingly with my Windows settings. Controls. Again, there is also a video about how my force feedback settings, that's what I'm using. Most importantly, I think, is that you stick with some sort of a setting and don't change them up all the time. I really like the brake bias on my steering wheel and the traction control settings, ABS settings. These are the settings that I'm using. Options general. What I really think is the most important is your rating, your safety rating in single player. So if you have friends and family over who want to be on your sim rig and see how awesome sim racing actually is, you should put this on multiplayer only, because this is going to be a very recurring and theme that we're gonna speak about, which is very important for your ACC safety rating. This is a little bit more important. These are the settings that I'm using, and I'm using this already for a very long time. But if you are a beginner, you want to maybe put this on automatic so you don't get the burden of using wipers, lights, or engine starts. That will be automatic. Ideal line, keep it hidden, because if you turn it on, your subconscious will start to be lazy, and whenever you hit a breaking point, you're gonna depend on this ideal line, and you want to depend on the markers on track or some other markers where you need to brake. This will learn you sim racing way better, and I definitely don't recommend put this on. The gearbox, if you're absolutely beginning out, you have no clue, you can put that on automatic, but I would also keep this manual because you want to learn the gears, and gears can also be a very important role in your car behavior to manipulate some understeer or create some oversteer, whatever. There's another setting you cannot see right now. If I start the sim and I click drive, you have few settings. These are the few settings that I'm using. Obviously you can change this up a little bit to your liking. The first 5 or 10 hours in Assetto Corsa Competizione is just about exploring. How does everything work? How do curbs feel? How tracks look? And this is how I would go into these first few hours of the game. So the first few hours, pick a career. First you will be on Monza, you're gonna drive some Lamborghinis. Just follow the game, see what they say, and just start driving this. Now I would just follow along and start doing this driving just to familiarize yourself with the game a little bit and complete the challenges that they have here. This part of the video is gonna get juicy. I basically compressing 3 or 4 years of experience in ACC into this very small section that is going to definitely help you out in your career, and that's also going to make it a hell of a lot more enjoyable. Your car choice and car setup baseline is going to be a vital part. I would recommend to stick with one car for a longer period of time and stop pivoting all the time. So in the first few hours of ACC, you're going to explore different cars. Now you made a decision and you're going to do the next thing. So when you want to pick a car, you have all this series here in front to pick from. And I believe if you have open series, I can basically pick everything that is in the game. Yeah, I would just stick to GT3s because it's the most popular car. Get the most people are driving GT3s. So that's what I would pick. I have a dedicated video on different cars and how they behave. If you're searching for a beginner car, I believe without DLC we have the Aston Martin, the V8 Vantage, the BMW. I also feel that the new Mustang is really beginner friendly. I don't know if it's DLC or not. So any front engine car will do, maybe the Lexus. Just pick the Aston Martin if you don't know what to do. By the way, the Aston Martin is like a little bit of an unnoticed, underrated car, but this car will be really quick at some point as well. For me, personally, the Aston Martin, I can absolutely dominate in the Aston Martin. Pick that single player, practice mode. Yeah, you can pick different stuff here, quick race, whatever. Pick this one, we're going into the settings at some point. Pick an Aston Martin, pick the track. I pick Spa-Francorchamps, start session, wait a bit. By the way, this game loads super fast. It's absolutely amazing. Drive setup options. Yeah, we have this option menu that I explained before. You're going to go to the setup. You have a safe preset which is broken. You have an aggressive preset that is broken. Wet car setup I actually use from time to time. If I have no clue on wet setups, I pick wet setup. Start driving a little bit, whatever. You're gonna go to load setup. You're gonna pick Arnoud's preset. Yeah. So obviously when you're starting out the game, you don't have any of this setup files. So you need to go to your current setup, change up the values and call it by name. And the next time you're on track, it will be there. It will not save for all the tracks. So you need to, when you're on PC, you can copy paste them to all the different tracks in the setup files directory, or you can go to my Patreon store and just have this file in place for every track and car combination. That will save you a bunch of time. I have a dedicated video on Arnoud's preset, but this is also super beginner friendly, and you can use this for every car and track combination, especially when you're starting out ACC. For the Aston Martin and the Ford Mustang, you can put traction control 2 on 8. Tire pressures, you want to make sure you have this one on the temperatures on 70 until 100. And if it's higher than 100, you need to make the brake ducts higher, so there's more air, more cooling, so the temperatures of the tires eventually will drop. Same for the back. You want to have tire pressures after a few laps 26.5 till 27 psi. Safety rating. To get this up as fast as possible is to avoid contact and finish races. The next thing you want to do to jack this up as fast as possible is be in close proximity to different cars. And if I needed to get this up from 0 to 80 as fast as possible, or 90 or like to the maximum, then I would just go to a quick race, keep in close contact with the cars. You don't have to overtake them. Be sure that you finish the races. This is gonna be important. Also, when you start hitting a car, you made one-time contact, don't be discouraged. This will happen. It's absolutely unavoidable when you're starting out. If you quit the races halfway, that will hurt your safety rating. the most. So to get these stars, pick a few tracks and start chasing down the AI on a difficulty that you feel comfortable in. Avoid contact, finish those 15-minute races, and I would just do 2 in a day and just take that easy. This is how you get a best baseline. Let's say what tracks could be important to start. Monza would be great to do because a lot of multiplayer lobbies I see. Spa-Francorchamps you could do. I really like Imola and the Nürburgring GT track. At some point I would start to explore them all, but if you're doing them in 15-minute races and you're chasing down the AI, then you get a real feel for when to brake or whatever, and you just it's still familiarization and exploration. I don't think it's like smart to be really in this competitive zone because you're like a blank slate. You have no clue where brake points are, how cars feel. So this is going to be a little bit boring in the beginning, but it will set you up fundamentally in a very good spot to get up to the next few hundred hours of ACC and actually start with the competitive racing. Now, you have some control over your settings, you have a baseline car setup, you did the career a little bit, few hours of exploration. Now you're like advancing into learning a bunch of different tracks. The thing that you want to do now is start gamifying your sim racing career loosely from ACC itself. The multiplayer lobbies or single players now gets up to a point where you don't feel that challenge anymore, and a good like starting point would be, let's say you practiced Spa, Monza, Imola and Nürburgring GP track and you feel like there's some consistency there and you're not going off, and you have like an idea like, hey, I can actually brake here early, I can here like brake late, I find consistency. Then I would definitely find some communities or different platforms to start racing over there and follow that schedule. Currently I'm getting into pitskill.io. It's a small community of 17,000 people. I've seen different rookies in there with like 5, 6, 7 seconds off the pace. I think it's a great place to start sim racing in a community where you can build up a safety rating, a driver rating as in ELO, and there is another rating that is invisible, and that is your reputation. Because now you're getting into a community and you need to start behaving as well, so you can be seen as a clean racer. And safety rating will obviously show you like how clean you are as a racer, but this will also be way more enjoyable than just racing AI, because now you're really getting into some competitive races. It doesn't really matter where you are in your sim racing journey. If you're just starting out, if you're already a 1 year racing, or maybe you're like me, you're already like 3 or 4 years into it, you never have to stop improving. There is always something that can be better. There's always another car you can try. There's always a track you can improve on. And let me know if there is another massive valuable tip here. Let me know in the comments, and also let me know in the comments what do you think of these tips, how they're going to help you. Thanks for watching.